Right, so in this video I'm just going to test this out and bring this into Maya, see if I can clean up a bit. Not going to be UV unwrapping and doing the texturing at the moment because this feels like it might be a little bit of a pain depending on what the export gives me. But I'll bring it into Unreal just to test it out and see how it goes with the modularity. And then in the next video I'll continue and maybe make some the roof here and then the floor next, and then we can create like a pretty interesting sci-fi hallway. So that's already kind of looking quite cool. So let's test this out. So I'm going to go file, export, and I'll put it into Modular Scifi kit. Pop in here, and I'll call it Modular Wall 01. Alright, just to be safe, SM underscore modular wall 01. SM stands for static mesh. When you're dealing with stuff inside of instead of game engines, and you have loads of assets, it's always good to have a good naming convention. So I'm actually going to call this uh, corridor wall 01. Save. Oh, did I just save it? Did I not export? Oh, I exported it as plasticity file. obj sm underscore corridor wall 01. Save. And so I had to think about these kind of export settings, and I think, to be fair, ngons is probably the best thing to choose because it's not all of the ngons are going to be in flat surfaces. Alright, so like ngons, the problem with ngons is it kind of messes up your shading of your assets, right? And your shading gets all messed up. And if, for example, if you have a cutout of a on a plane that's an ngon, then it will kind of not know what to do with it. But since plasticity actually connects your cutouts like this with these individual edges, then the shading's actually perfect on it, even when in ngon mode. And I think I'm not entirely sure how this works, like for optimization mode, like within like game engines. So I'm not entirely sure if it's more optimized to just have uh, actual actual quads, because it does the triangulates it anyway. I don't know if it takes more longer for it to compute triangulation if it's like full of ngons, but I'd say I'm just gonna leave it as an ngons for now, because the shading's gonna be fine. And then I brought it all the way down, and then I'll create another one with it all the way up to kind of export as a high poly, so I can do my high to low poly big. But for now, I'll just use the low poly. Actually, I'll export the high poly for now, and then I'll do the low poly later. So export. Did create a high poly, so let me just open up Epic Games. My desktop's a mess, sorry guys. Create the 5.11 project. I don't think it's going to link up perfectly. Pivot point is going to be in that tiny little corner, which will be perfect, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to create games, first person, pop it into my desktop, plasticity, follow ref, new folder, call it Sci-Fi Modular Kit, plasticity. Actually, I'll call that Unreal actually. Unreal. Select the folder, and I'm gonna call this Sci-Fi Modular Kit. Leave Starter content off, ray tracing off, that's fine. Create. So I'm curious to see how the snapping will be in Unreal, if it's going to snap well and if it's going to be noticeable that we'll have the seam, because some of the things weren't perfectly connected to it, but we'll find out. So let me actually just create a new level. So I'm going to create a folder called levels, create a new level called playground or LV underscore playground. This will be just for testing stuff. Windows, if I go to Windows and I go to Environment Light Mixer, I can just switch on all of these, which will create everything I need. Then Edit, Project Settings, just type in Auto Exposure and switch that off because I do not want to deal with changing lights all the time. And content, I'll create another folder called Assets, new folder called Sci-Fi Modular Scifi Kit, new folder called Walls, and now I can import that. So let's try this out. Desktop, plasticity, file ref, Modular Scifi Kit, SM quarter wall crew, okay, blah blah. I think this will all be fine. I'm just gonna click import and see what it does. Okay, so it is massive. Or is it? We'll find out in a second. 90. Oops, rotate that. 0. So this is what it's looking like in Unreal by default without even a material assigned to it. So let's just go and create a new material. Test map. Doesn't matter what's on it. And I'll hook up a base color, right click, convert to parameter, call it color. A metallic, specular, roughness, right click, metallic, specular, roughness. Just converting these parameters so I can create an instance of it. So if I right click, create material instance, now I can whack that on. And I should be able to test what this is going to look like. So just going to set the metallic to 1, color to white for now. So I don't know if that shading is because of the engons or what. Let's find out. The roughness when it goes to 0, it freaks out. Right, so I'm gonna leave it like that. I'll change the color to like grayish color. I'm gonna add a cube for the floor here. Oops, wrong axis. I'll be making the floor in Plasticity as well at some point. Something like that. I'll whack that material on it as well. So let me just click play from here and see the size of this wall. Okay, the wall is way too big. Well, that's good to know. I thought it was going to be small. So Windows Details tab, because it's not there. So scale 0.2, 0.2, 0.2. Nope. 4, 4, 4. Oh, sorry. 0.6, 0.6, 0.6. No. 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. better. Alright, so let's see how well that's going to snap together. No, actually snaps together pretty damn well. Nice. So I should be able to just grab a bunch of these, grab these, rotate them by 180, put it on the other side. This is just very rough. I just want to see what it will look like with a little bit of lighting in there, and like see what if we can get it to look quite interesting, something like that. And then add a point light. I'm gonna make my attenuation radius larger, and then direct lighting volume 20. And grab that and just move it down a touch to like that. So it's repeating quite a bit, I think. It's too noticeably repeating. But I think once we have like pillars in there and stuff, a bottom one is, and colors and stuff obviously, because it's very much samey. Hopefully that will break it up a bit. But it's not too bad. It does tile pretty perfectly. So I think that was a success for the wall. But yeah, so that's it for this video, guys. And then in the next video, I can start doing some more stuff. I might just try and UV unwrap this and then texture it. Not still debating whether to create a trim sheet for it or something, or do you like this little thing here? But yeah, and I might create a pillar of some sort. I think these specific pieces here are repeating a bit much. It should have just been one. A picture just removing these two. Because it's like too many like frames. Although it's not too bad. Well, I've had emissive lights coming from like the top here or something. Um, or even from like a little light strip coming from this. I think it could look pretty cool. Let me just test one thing out. Because I made it 20 by 20 meters and it seems to have stuck with the same kind of things in Unreal. If I set that to 0.1, it should be what, 2 meters tall? But that's too small. Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, that'll be it for this video, guys, and yeah, see you in the next one.